When it comes to a fancy holiday, I like to make this little chocolate cake. It's a chocolate mousse cake. Now, years ago, it used to be really big in some of your fine dining restaurants. You don't see it so often anymore. Here in my bowl, I have softened 1/2 stick of butter, or 4 tablespoons, whichever you want. And I have made these nuts pretty fine. They are 1 cup of almonds and 1 cup of walnuts. I just blended those down, and they're to the point where that if you pick them up and mash them with your finger, they don't quite hold together, but they're just kind of almost there. And we're going to mix that in with the butter. Now you can see that it's pretty well mixed up. The butter is even in there with all the nuts. If you didn't get every nut coated with butter, it's all right. They'll kind of stick together when you press them into the pan. I have here a 10-inch styrofoam, 10-inch spring foam pan, and I'm just going to dip those right into the middle. For me, this works out the best. I'm terrible at dividing things up, so that's what we're going to do. Spread it out a little bit where it looks almost even. And then I have here a little 1/4 of a cup measuring spoon, and I'm just going to press that up against the side of the wall. Now I want it to come up at least halfway on the wall of my pan, so I'm going to worry about that part first. Go all the way around. And now you're going to begin to even it out here on the bottom. And it doesn't take very long for this at all, especially if you're using the little rounded measuring cups. Make sure you don't have any holes there in the bottom. You want to press that down pretty good. You want it nice and tight. Okay, that looks pretty good. Okay, and now we're going to start on the filling. Okay, beginning our filling, I have melted here 2 packages, 4 ounces each, of a semi-sweet chocolate. And I did that in the microwave, just stirring occasionally, making sure that it stays smooth. And I'm going to put that into my saucepan. And to that I'm going to add 1 cup of whipping cream. I'm going to turn my heat on a medium, and I'm just going to begin mixing that in. I want to stir this until it's nice and smooth, and until it begins just almost to the boiling stage, but not quite. You'll see a few little bubbles that form around the edges. That's when we need to take it off. You can see it is well mixed together now, and that didn't hardly take any time at all. It has thickened up. You can see it is consistency of a thick pudding. I'm just going to let that warm a little bit, but I'm going to stir it constantly because I do not want it to stick to the bottom. Okay, it is all mixed together, nice and smooth. Everything's melted, mixed together good. I'm going to set that off of the heat, and it needs to set and cool for about 10 minutes. Now, while that is cooling, believe it or not, we can actually start the other, because I have in here 6 eggs. And it is egg yolk and the egg white. And to that I'm going to add my vanilla. One teaspoon of vanilla. And I am going to beat that for 8 minutes. My eggs have become to where that they're a little foamy around the edge. Now I'm going to begin adding in my sugar, and this is 1/3 cup of granulated sugar. And 1/2 cup of all-purpose flour. Add the flour in slow or you'll get it all over you. Michael knows.
I do.
And now we're going to count 8 minutes. Okay, it has been 8 minutes. And you look at this and you think, that is so thin. But that's all right. That's the way it's supposed to be. I'm going to take my hot chocolate that has been over there for 10 minutes cooling a little bit. Get that out of the way. That way I don't make a Michael mess.
Hey.
And I'm going to add to this mixture about 1/3 of my chocolate. And I'm just going to mix that in by hand. Turn it. My mixing bowl has a little dip in the bottom of it. If yours has that, be sure you reach down in there, get all of that out of there, make it nice and smooth. It doesn't have to be like totally mixed, just enough to where that you can see it's beginning to turn. And then you just add the rest. The one thing I really like about this cake is not only because it is so decadent, but the fact that I'm a diabetic, and when you're looking at this cake, there is very little sugar. You're talking about 1/3 cup, and you're only talking about 1/2 cup of flour for the entire cake. So you're looking at, if you're going to eat a dessert, you better go with something low carb, low sugar. Mix that in real good. Scrape around the edges. I believe we've got it pretty well. And then we're just going to pour that into our crust. I have heated my oven to 325, and I'm going to bake this anywhere from 45 to 50 minutes. It's going to kind of depend on how hot your oven is. My oven is not just what I would call really true. It's an electric oven, and it does not stay true to the heat. So mine will be in there for at least 50 minutes. Okay. What you want to see is just a little puffed up, rising here around the side, solid to the touch. We're going to let it sit here for 30 minutes until it cools. Then it's going to go into the refrigerator for at least 4 hours. Okay, it has been 4 hours in the refrigerator, and I'm going to just cut us a piece. Slide that on, now I put it over here, onto a plate. Add a dollop of some homemade whipped cream. few little raspberries. And there we go.